right, so it's time for Nezura 1964. It's a crowd-funded film based on Dai's unfinished Giant Horde Beast Nezura. This is the precursor to Gamera, basically, this movie. Well,
Yeah.
not this movie, but the Giant Horde Beast Nezura, the unmade movie, was the precursor to Gamera. So this is
Yeah.
pretty much like what would you call it? A
To cancel project.
dramatization of
Oh, yeah, this movie.
how
Yeah.
it went down this movie.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
it's
movie
so
about the behind the scenes of a movie that failed.
yes. Um, uh, it's supposed to be like a drama comedy. Um, I really enjoyed it. Um, Basically, what this whole movie was about, Giant Horde Beasts, or the one that they were making, was going to be. They were really the birds had come out at the time. Godzilla was doing great at the time. They kind of hint at Godzilla, but they don't use his name. And they sort of show in the opening that they're at a theater watching what looks like a clip from the movie The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock. So
Yeah,
they wanted to kind of mirror the birds, but also kind of pull Godzilla too in a way. So they wanted a horde of giant rats, and
yeah,
there would be one master giant rat. It would be called the Mammoth Nezora that would control this horde of rats. So their plan was to have one giant suit and a bunch of rats. And they ended up using real live rats. And at first they had bought about 20 or 30 of them. And then when they showed the test footage after successfully finding, they had a hard time shooting this test footage just to see how it would work out. They built a whole diorama of a city and everything. So it took them forever to get the rats to kind of do what they wanted to do. They're
yeah.
crapping
Yeah, I
everywhere.
think they thought that it was going to be, which, it's kind of one of those things with this movie. It's like, well, where's the truth and where's the dramatization come in? I can fully believe that they thought that these rats would just start destroying things and it would be an easy film. And then the rats were kind of just sniffing, being inquisitive, being like, oh,
Yeah.
what's this? Oh, they're
They were,
being bashful. They didn't want to do stuff.
Yeah, they were really tame rats. They were almost had to they were like banging containers, film reel boxes, and ringing bells and yelling to try to get them to even move. Like they were just
Yeah.
like chill.
And
So,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
sure. So they have a really funny scene in this movie where it's like he's gonna go get some street rats, and like
yes,
they play like this like dramatic music, and then like he finally like just like grabs a rat and lifts it up and like has this evil look on his face. It
yeah.
was so overdone.
He's like croning like around like a dumpster behind like a warehouse, like looking for like a rat. So he gets that one, but then like after the test footage is all shot and everything, the guy's like, when I hear Horde Beast, I expect like the
Hundreds.
screen to be filled with rats. So they're like, oh, we only bought 20 to 30. We need more. So they legit get in a car on like and have like a megaphone mounted to the roof, and they're speaking into it, driving through the village, basically saying, if you have any wild rats, any rats, we'll buy them for 20 or 30 yen or whatever it was that they were saying they were going to pay. Like,
Yeah, so it's
so
like 50 cents
yeah, quick
about
50
back
cents. They
then.
were buying rats off the street, just wild rats, and they ended up with hundreds of them now. They had tons.
Yeah, they had like a mini like shack off of
Yes.
Daiei Studios with these rats. And from all
Yeah.
the information I could see online, this was a more truthful to them using domestic rats. Like it seemed like it was mainly them using street mice and rats to film this movie. And like I don't know how anybody thought that this would pass any form of health standard, but apparently Daiei was like, yeah, sure, no problem.
And they really went all out on it too. They did like almost press tours while this thing was filming. They announced it on TV. They were like, this is gonna happen. Keep a lookout. It's gonna be coming early 1964 because they started filming it in October 1963, and it was supposed to come out 1964 in like January. Like the turnaround time back in the day, I guess, for movies was like that. So they came up with the idea in September. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna have it out by January.
Yeah, so they aired a trailer and made a big announcement. And in real life, I'm gonna butcher this name, but the trailer was edited by Noraki Yasa. I probably definitely butchered that name, but he edited this trailer, and he went on to direct almost all of the Gamera Showa films, and he edited together this trailer, and in the movie he's like the assistant, like behind the scenes film cinematographer. He's just trying to get the movie produced and document what the process of making this movie was. That's kind of like how they can justify this movie existing in the world of the movie itself. But yeah, Dai was all in on this.
They were all out on it, yeah.
And it just failed spectacularly, and very predictably failed, because I don't know how they thought that having hundreds of wild rats in one location wasn't going to lead to massive spread of disease and filth.
Like, yeah, they weren't like on like a movie studio, like in the middle of like nowhere, or like in a city. Like they were like in a residential area. So once all the locals caught news of what they were doing, they were like, these rats are gonna spread disease through our town. So they started protesting, and like shortly after that, the health department just shut the whole thing down. They're like, yeah, you're done, you can't do this.
Yeah, and you have to kill the rats.
Kill the rats. And that's the opening of the movie. The opening scene is a color scene where they're burning the rats alive.
Yeah, yeah, which is kind of one of the more hilarious scenes of the movie, because I don't know who the head of Dai is. Yuchi Nagano. I don't know too much about him as far as how he was in real life, but in this movie he's played as a hilarious, very supportive old man goof, kind of like a less pervy Master Roshi, where he's just kind of like a comedy relief character. And he's like, he sees the rats burning, and then he just sees, like, I guess in his head he imagines like the mammoth Nezura.
Yeah, and he just loses his mind and is like freaking out.
And I was just, the whole time, like, there's just so many funny skits that he does, because he like overacts everything, and then like when he's like running, he's making the assistant follow him, and it's a pretty funny performance. But yeah, he's freaking out at the rats being burned, and I would assume probably because he figures that is his future burning, because he invested everything he had into that.
Yeah, literally, like they went, like I said, they went all out on it, and they just flipped out. And even the director destroying the set was pretty funny.
Yeah,
it was almost like, I thought they were almost going to go into like him destroying the city, like do like almost like a shot like that, but he like just destroyed like a building and like a bridge he flipped over. But I thought they were going to go more into him just destroying the city.
Yeah, no, man, I really love this movie, and I think it's got a 42-minute runtime.
Yeah,
and then the credits are super long. I think the credits are like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's got an opening credit, a closing credit, and the closing credit has like a whole theme song, and then even like here's some music video after it, right? Or they show you the recording of the song. Yeah.
They show like the behind the scenes making of. Pretty cool. They have an awesome theme song for this.
Yeah, the music is very well done for this movie too. The whoever scored this thing, they did a really good job, because a lot of these like movies, you're like, oh, it's never really a great soundtrack for these fan films or short films, but this has like a legitimate like soundtrack that like mirrors the era of movies that this would fall into.
Yeah, it's produced by the same company that did Great Buddha Arrival, which is Y3 studio 3Y, and they do a really good job, and they have a lot of cool cameos in there and references in this movie. Um, Overall, it's just pretty cool. It's a short watch, like we said, and there's kind of a very quick narrative to it, but seeing the character interactions were very nice. And then a lot of the cameos were pretty good. Like they had an interview bit with Shirosano and Bin Furura.
Yes,
And
Ultraman, and yeah,
yeah,
he's been in a ton of their stuff. He was in Great Buddha, and I'm pretty sure they shot this while they were filming Nezura. But there's this other short film. It's even shorter. You can actually find it on YouTube. It's Yacht Suashi. It's about another canceled monster movie called the Great Demon Beast. This one involves an octopus, and it looks like they use the same exact set. It's got a lot of the same characters, and even showed up in there on a TV scene. It was a pretty cool. That one is a little cool short film, but it looks like it was shot in unison with Nezura.
yeah.
But that one was like a 12-minute watch. It's on YouTube. He was in Great Buddha with them. A lot of the cameos were great. They had Dai, the CEO, was played by the guy that was Inspector Asaka for the Gamera trilogy, and he was even in a Gamera fan film that continued the trilogy. He showed up in Rio and Raiga. He was also in Great Buddha. He was in Neo Ultra Q and Ultra Max.
Yeah. No.
I mean, they pulled a lot of famous Toku Kaiju celebrities for this one.
Yeah, Shirosano, I think he was in GMK, and he was also in, I think, Godzilla 2000, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, and then Bin, obviously Ultraman. But what I liked about the interview segment was they do this segment on TV while the movie's being filmed, saying how, cinema's dead. Everything's about TV now. I don't see these giant monster movies lasting very long. People are going to get bored of them, and they're not going to be entertaining. And then during the newscast in this movie saying that the movie has been canceled, there's the next segment is the two of them announcing that they are producing a new TV show called Miracle Q.
It's clearly Ultra Q.
So I was just like, it's just some pretty funny just background storytelling. Like, they didn't have to add that, but I just thought it was pretty funny that they were like, let's just add this little extra nudge in there.
And it's crazy how all this was kind of going on in that short few month period there.
Yeah.
So, like, it just shows you how quick they cranked movies and TV shows out back then.
Yeah. And then it is kind of crazy. Like, they just went from, oh, let's do some test footage to, okay, we're going to announce this movie and it's going to be out in 4 months.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, boom, it went from idea to it's going to be out 3 months from now. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the way of, like, the way in movies where they've just become these longer productions. Like, I just get kind of side noted. Like, I watched Singing in the Rain about 2 weeks ago, and they were showing how when it was the silent film era, they would shoot like 5 movies at the same time on the same set and just have multiple cameras set up on different locations on the set, just so they can film multiple movies at the same time, and they'd crank out 1 movie a week.
Oh, it's nuts. I mean, just even during when they were doing Western films, they were going non-stop with that.
Especially during like the like a lot of these budget movies, what they would do is they'd rent out studio space from the big studios for like 3 days, and if there was a set there, that was the set for the movie. So they'd reuse the set from an old movie and they'd film the entire movie in 3 days.
Nuts.
And they'd put out like all those B-rated like sci-fi movies. That's how they were kind of produced, or on settings like that, where it's like you think of basically all the movies that were in that communist Cold War monsters box set from Arrow Video. All those movies were produced within like a matter of like a week to a few days.
It's crazy how they just did this back in the day.
Yeah. So
one that definitely falls into that category, if you can ever find it, I actually had it lent to me by somebody from work years ago, is Robot Monster. It's a very popular like cult one. It is comedic. It's so funny, the dialogue in that movie. I gotta find you a copy of that, because you will die with that one.
Yeah, I'm actually looking it up right now. It looks like
it's like an ape suit with like a diver's helmet.
There was a Kickstarter. Oh, there's a Kickstarter right now for it for 3D Blu-ray of it.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Looks like it is not active actually anymore. But it did raise $63,000, so they are making that.
Oh, damn. I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll go circulated.
Maybe.
But how this movie ended, though, it ended with Yukichi Nagano sitting outside his house a few weeks later, and who was it? Was it Hiroto? Who was it that came to see him at his house? Somebody came to see him at his house with some leftovers from the set and everything.
It was Kazuki. Kazuaka.
Kuzuyaki, yes.
Kuzuyaki, yeah. You pronounce it better than I do.
Yeah. Played by Kazuma Yoniyama. Came with them with the completed documentary on the filming of Nezura somewhat, and just some knickknacks from the set that were left over. And inside the box was a firework. And Nagano just was like, oh, I'm just going to light this firework here. And he lit it, and the firework spun on the ground in a circle. And obviously, with the spinning fire just sparked in his mind. He just gets up and he goes, that's it. He's like, I'm going to have a flying, flaming, spinning monster for my movie. And he just takes off running, and that's kind of like how it ends.
Yeah.
And you all know what that monster is. It's Gamera.
Yeah, it's very clearly Gamera.
And they even hinted at the time, they when they were working on the movie, they went to what was he like? He would mold monster suits and monster models, and at the time he said he was working on a sea turtle model for somebody. So that was kind of like a hint, I think, a nod towards Gamera.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're definitely teasing Gamera. I don't think they got the rights for anything with this movie, so obviously they're trying to like skirt around.
Yes.
Some of the character names have changed from the people who they really represent. So it's, like this is basically just a very well produced fan film. So, the names have been changed and swapped around. No copyright infringement. It's just where they can release it and all that stuff. But, yeah, I mean, overall, pretty good movie. He went on to have a career of directing almost all of the Showa Gamera movies, except for Gamera vs. Barugon, which he did special effects on. And, directed 22 episodes of Ultraman 80 and 8 episodes of Iron King. So obviously there's a Subaraya connection there as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just kind of just a cool little flick. Definitely check it out. You can definitely get it on SRS still. It's available. But I believe it's also, if you're not into buying and you just want to stream, I believe it's on Amazon Prime streaming. So if you want to watch it digitally there, you can as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy this one, and so you guys should definitely check it out. I mean, it was really funny, and And it's just a nice little backstory that kind of like, if you're a kaiju fan, a camera fan, like it's kind of like a good like look at what was going on back then. It's a dramatization, but I would guess it's very accurate to what was going on, and it was really cool, and just the cast was great. And the director for this movie, Hiroto Yokokawa, like I said, we earlier he did Great Buddha Revival. He also did the Yatsa Sushi movie that I mentioned. But he also did a fan film called Hedora Silent Spring in 2019. This one is also up on YouTube, and it features I'm gonna butcher his name again. What was his name? Oh, Kazuma. Kazuma is in it, and he plays like the main guy. There's not really any dialogue in it, so you don't need subtitles really. He goes down. It's almost like the scene in Godzilla vs. Hedorah when they go diving into the water and the kid's playing in the rocks. Except he's there by himself, and he kind of sees like a clump of goop. He must be like a marine biologist or something. He just dips his hand in the puddle of goop, and he like burns his hand or whatever. And he's got this jar of goop now that's probably from Hedorah, and he goes into the city with it. It's pretty much almost just no like I said, no dialogue in the film, and then it ends with a Hedorah attack. Now, what happens at the end? I don't know if they leave it up for interpretation or not, but I don't know if he actually turned into Hedorah. Because like he kind of like looks at his hand, he opens up the jar. I don't know if the jar just blows up into Hedorah or almost like he was possessed by it. It was kind of weird, but it was a cool fan film, and you get to see some Hedorah action. It's not a professional suit at all, but it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool. You gotta give him credit for the heart that went into it. Very well shot.
Yeah.
The one thing I noticed is this guy makes some awesome opening credits and closing credits for all these projects that he does. They're all really well done. Great music. Like he knows. I'm not sure if he's scoring these films or if he knows a guy, but the scoring on everything he does is great.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that the music was honestly one of the best parts. Even like during like the background music, like during like the filming montages and stuff, are all just really good.
Oh, it's for a fan film. I would say the score for this is just like a shining diamond for it. Like it's just like it's sometimes people don't pay attention to that, but this one is like so good.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I think part of what makes this movie really enjoyable. It's like kind of like immerses you into it, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. I think that's our closing thoughts on Nezura 1964.
Yeah. I mean,
go watch it.
Yeah, pick it up from SRS. Is it available in retail now also?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah, SRS, digital, wherever you want. Go forget it.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. Next podcast, we will be covering The Son of Kong.
Yeah. I gotta rewatch it. I haven't watched that one in a while, so
yeah, I think it's been about 8 years since the last time I watched it.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like watching it again. So I can't wait for that one.
All right, great, and we will see you guys next time.
And keep a look at it on YouTube for more videos.
Yeah, definitely. All right, see you.